couple of months, I'd say. But yeah, next month, the August meeting, will be here at, on the 12th of August. The topic of the night is going to be France of Louis XIV period. So,
And the medals in particular of Louis XIV, who is in fact one of the towering figures of numismatics. People probably would enjoy hearing the story.
okay, next month we are going to be what's the word? We're going to have a bit of a speech, not speech, a talk.
It's a display with moi.
Yes,
Talking to the
but we'll say the topic is that, but Rudy's going to start it off, and if we have time afterwards, everyone else can show
I
something.
hope you have time. That's a big story, and I love going into big stories. I come here aiming to do my best.
Good. Okay, so Rudy's going to start with the topic of next month, being France of Louis XIV period.
And the numismatics
And the numismatic side
of
things.
Louis XIV, the medals.
The medals.
The incorrect die?
Hmm?
Is this the incorrect
Okay.
die?
We're talking about Louis XIV here.
Sorry, what was your question?
Is this the incorrect die?
Yeah, that's why coins is spelled incorrectly. But it's not on one of them, it's on all of them, so it's not a one-off.
He's responsible for that too, is he?
No. The coins is my fault. It's my fault because when they sent me the dies, the artwork, to check, I didn't pick it up. I wasn't looking at proclamation coins 1800 because they were all, it was on everyone, so I was busy checking that they had the right coin in there and the pillar dollar 8 real was correct, which it was, but coins wasn't.
I think somebody's banging on the door, right?
Yes, there's somebody banging on the door.
Probably George.
Yes.
It's always George. It's always George. Okay, so yeah, so we're talking about that, but I was also talking about the topic of next month. Rudy will start it off, and for anyone that has got any coinage of that period, bring it along and compliment Rudy's talk about it, so that we can all understand what that period's all about. Right?
I'm as long as how much time will you give me, so I can edit down what I tend to say.
I have a feeling I might need to move my car.
3.
All right.
Maybe me.
Now,
What years are we talking about, Rudy?
The 17th century, from about the mid-17th century, Louis XIV had the longest of all reigns of European sovereigns. And he became king in around about 1647, 48, or no, 43, as early as that. Louis XIII died in 1643, and Louis XIV managed to then kick on till 1715.
Sure, I could have it. Got a lick.
Okay? So,
It was George, he's on his way.
I'll get it more precise for next month.
Here he is,
all right.
the woodpecker. He said he did press the buzzer over there, but I didn't hear a buzzer going, did you? But the buzzer's on that side anyway, so you wouldn't hear.
G'day there, George.
Okay, we're also wanted to sort of just mention to you in general business that we want to have a motion to suspend life membership for the ANS until the interest rate returns to around about 5%. Now, I'll get Rod to explain that to you. So
Currently we have an option of taking out life membership by paying 20 years membership, and you had been here 5 years, you've been a member for 5 years, pay 20 years membership, you get life membership. However, that was working on the assumption that if you gave us 20 years membership, we can invest it at 5%, and that more or less pays your membership every year, unless the fees go up. That worked quite well when we were getting up to 5% or even more. But today, when we're lucky to get 2%, it means we go backwards. It probably will balance out because you've paid 20 years membership anyway, so you know you've got that bit to go on. But financially, as a treasurer, it don't work. So until the interest rates go back up, and God knows when that's going to happen, I'd like to put that motion that we suspend life membership until the interest rates are back up to around the 5% mark. Now, if everyone is in agreement, because it comes back down to the members here who will vote in September. If everyone is in agreement on that, I will, when I send the renewal messages out to everyone tomorrow with their copper medal, I'll make a note of that this is happening. And if anybody has any objections or whatever, they can voice them. But we'll do it as per the Constitution that says we have to let members know. And in September, when we have our AGM, we'll vote on it, whether it gets carried or not. But up to then, everyone will have a say to say, you know, I agree up to a point, but, you know, maybe people can pay partials or whatever. I don't know, whatever's going to turn up. But just as a financial thing, it doesn't work at the present moment.
When you say suspend life membership,
Yes.
what actually do you mean? Because I don't know anybody else's situation except my own, and I'm one of those people who has got this paid up life membership.
Yeah, if you're a paid up life membership, you're fine. Nobody can, no
Just
one
means
else
new
can
ones can come in.
You're
apply
not
for
going to
life.
alter the contract, is
No,
it?
no.
You're not going to make them
Anybody
pay
who
anything.
has it is sitting pretty.
Retains it.
It's that we're not accepting any new life members until interest rates are back up to
That's,
5.
suspend the offer, basically.
Yeah, suspend the offer of
Okay.
life membership.
No, I've sort of
Yeah.
told you what I
Yeah.
would
No.
do in
It-
any
You need
case.
to sort of say that.
Quite a few of us are life members anyway, and no, it's not going to affect us. Now, I'm a life member from a long way back when it was $10. So, you know, I mean, I've been sitting pretty for a while. But financially, for the club, it just doesn't work at the present moment.
Yep.
All right, so the motion's going to be that we're going to suspend the offer
Of life
of the
membership,
life membership,
yes.
not
Life membership, the offer.
the offer of life
A future
membership.
life, offer of future life membership.
Future life membership, until the interest rates return to 5%.
Is it possible to still allow it, but up the price? I mean, so that it reflects you only get 2% if you're lucky.
Yeah, but I
Because
mean,
think, honestly,
if
you're waiting around till it means 5%, that could be 50 years.
yeah, but Dave, if we're going to say you got to pay 40 years membership,
No,
To
look
get
at
life
people's
membership.
expectancy. That's a fair way to do it.
yeah,
I
from
mean,
now
not-
to
In
your
other words, not close it altogether just because we can't cope with, you know, because we can only find poor investments and that sort of thing. And, you know, it's, yeah, it just,
I think you'll find that most people, if you say, yes, we'll give you 35 years or 40 years, you pay 40 years membership and you got life membership, I doubt if they'd jump up and down and take it.
But the life membership at the moment would be what?
20 years. So that's 20 times
What,
20 times $40. You know, that's $800. Yeah.
It'd be nice if you got a few things of that in, wouldn't it?
$8.
You know, I mean, if we're going up to $1,500 or so as a life member, you know, unless you're 15 years old or something, you probably wouldn't accept it. Dave, we did have that other option as well for the older members, that they could pay the number of years to their 80th birthday, as long as there's a minimum of 5 years. But even with that, we just say future life membership is suspended until, because it's too much fiddling.
Get some younger members.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you know,
We'll have a major
40 years'
question
time, will there be a
before we
club?
go back to 5%.
When I joined Life membership, you were getting 18% interest.
Yeah.
That made a difference.
That's some
Yeah.
time now.
Just a
Yeah.
few years ago.
I don't know what it was, but I know when I joined, the membership was $10 a year, and 20 years. You know, it's about 30 years ago, but you know, it was a good deal. I'm glad I took it.
All right, so do we have to take a vote?
Well, just if you could indicate if you're in favour, just
Is everybody in
show,
agreement?
Yes,
show your hands. Great. So I think, you know, it's sort of logical. So everyone here is in favour. So we'll go ahead and I'll let everyone know that this is the motion.
All right. Okay, we've got the auction number 37 happening over here. It closes tonight. So, yeah, we've had it going now for close on 2 months.
5 weeks.
For
Yeah.
5 weeks, and you know, no doubt most of you have seen it on the internet, on our website. But tonight's the night where we'll have the final bidding.
Oh, I'm uncertain
So
whether it's going to help.
what you need to do is have a look at the lot numbers, or if you already know which lot numbers you plan on bidding on, let Rod know, so that we will do that at the end of the meeting.
There are lists there which the current high prices. Any auction lot that has an asterisk next to it means there's a higher maximum bid, so you'll be paying at least two bid increments more, probably more. But if there's anything in there that you're interested in, please let me know. I'm happy to try and get more money for the vendors and more percentage for the ANS.
All right. Okay, we also had representation at the Nashville Expo. Well, Rod was there most days, so he can give us a report on that.
Yeah. There's a present for you as one of the people who attended. It was pretty quiet as far as the ANS went, but you know, we did get a lot of people stopping by. I was very lucky in that I put on a banknote display, which was the very last frame, which was right next to where we had the ANS table. So every time, you know, the display is like where it says Cinderella's over there on the lot. And every time anybody stopped there, and I'm sitting where John is, I got up and went and chatted to them about collecting banknotes. So the location worked out quite well. We didn't get any new members, but a few people expressed interest, so we did hand out, and I made about 20 forms and what next, and most of them were given out, so there are some people who are interested in coins, so that was quite good. We sold 8 of our medals and things there, because I got $80. Pat donated quite a bit towards that $80, but a few other people bought them, and it was strange. I would have thought that they would have bought the cartwheel penny or some of the proclamation coins, but they didn't. The coin that went the most was the 60th anniversary we put down with the 1 and 2 cent and the 3pence and 6pence on it. That was the one that most people found of interest and wanted. So mine's not the reason why. Mine's just to take the money. So we did. But all in all, I think it went quite well. We were, as I said, I put out a display, and there were 770 frames of stamps up there, and people were competing. It was competitive displays on different stamps. And mine was the only non-competitive, and it was a banknote one. And because I had a display, I was given this medal. So everyone who put out a display got one of the medals, and they were given, where it has a little stamp in the middle, which is a kangaroo on the map, which is the early Australian stamp from 1914. That little stamp area is sort of stuck on, and there's different colours. So if you want a gold one, you had a gold stamp there. If you want a silver one, you had a silver stamp. There's vermeil and other different colours. So the different colour stamp on there signifies what your display was given. The other side is the Federation, Australian Philatelic Federation National Exhibition. So little koala, so it's quite a nice little medal to have. It gave me an idea for our next conference because, as you can see, the RCEL Sydney 2019 is actually sort of ink-jetted on. It's not engraved. And it's a bloody sight cheaper than what Mr. Minute and What Next charge for engraving coins. So my mind is ticking towards the conference saying, yes, we can have people's name engraved for the conference and What Next, you know, ANS 2020 conference, etc. there, and give them the medal, which will be part of the package they buy. But be nice, personalised things. And I think, you know, it costs like $4 or something to have that put on, as against $20 odd if you have someone's name engraved in a medal. So, anyway, it went well. Do you think it went well, from your perspective?
Yeah, well, like Rod said, that the numismatic side of the things weren't that busy, even though there were quite a few dealers there. M.R. Roberts, sorry, the Wynyard Coins was there. They had quite a big table.
Yeah, they did well.
One of our members, the member who happened to be the general manager of M.R. Roberts, Joe Detling, was there just about every day.
Yeah, Joe was there. Joe was saying when I spoke with him, I was there, it was on for 4 days. It was Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I couldn't go on the Friday, but I did Thursday, Saturday and Sunday. On the Thursday when I was speaking to Joe, he was saying that how different it was from the normal fairs he goes to. He said, normally when they go to a fair, they don't sell very much, but they buy an awful lot. People are bringing stuff in and they're buying stock. He said,
You wouldn't buy mine.
but this fair, he said, was different, that they kept selling stuff. And every day he had to go back to the shop and get more stock. People were throwing money at him, and he loved that.
This must have been the stamp people.
Yeah. But on the Sunday, it changed. On the Sunday, I believe somebody came in with, I don't know what they collected, but I think Joe bought an awful lot of stuff on the Sunday, so he did buy and sell. So as far as he was concerned, it was a great show.
And we also do have to thank Joe Detling for
The case.
for lending us a display case, because for the 4 days we had a display case on our table that we put stuff in there to show people, the people that walk past, show them what numismatic's all about. So Rod had his displays in it. I had my display in it for the days that I was there. So yeah, it worked out quite well because Joe came to the party for that one.
Talking about display cases, Rudy has some display cases, and he's got to bring one for us here, which will just sit on the top of our cupboard over there.
It's a very handsome case, and its length is about that, and that wide, about that deep, and it's wooden frame glass all the way around. It's got a floor of plywood. It's all nicely stained and everything. I was offered one, and because I would like to get one, and when it became obvious that I could get two, I thought, well, look, even if we can't use it, but it's one that we could probably get Australian Numismatic Society kind of put on it, on the woodwork, it's possible. I was even now as we were talking about it, thinking it may be possible to get lettering, small wooden lettering, and just glue it on as well, or something like that. It's a really snazzy sort of setup, and it's manageable. You know, I mean, if I can carry it, and I think I wasn't feeling in top form when I had to pick it up. I think that provided that we apply it and use it, it would help improve the impression we make, I suspect.
It would be handy, really, because 3 times a year there's an open day that's held in this room.
Yep.
With all the clubs, and there's an auction later on or what next, but the tables over there, there's dealers, and some of the little clubs show their stuff. Now, I attend all those open days, so I can certainly pull the case off, put it down there, put in a whole pile of medals or even A&S stuff. There's, on the second floor upstairs, the Philhouse Library's there, they have a nice big display case up there where they have all the different stamp medals, like that one that are given out all the years. Plus, because the A&S give them a medal every year, like these ones, they have our little medals on displays as well. So all the proclamation medals are sitting in prime spot upstairs. So that's good.
Okay.
We'll convert some of them yet.
It's my intention to bring the case down when I'm talking briefly about the Louis XIV issue, but sort of we can see it. As I say, I think that everybody will agree that it's a really handsome case, and it's up to us to
Good idea.
make good use of it, you know?
Thank you, Rudy.
Thank you.
Just talking of making impressions on things like that, could we spend a couple of dollars to get a new sign as to where we meet, etc., etc.? Because that one we had out there at Hurstville, I think, was a bit off-putting.
Well, we had a couple of signs. One of the paper ones that we put at the far end.
Yeah.
That was a very, very old sign
Yeah,
from when we were at the powerhouse.
It was not a
The
treasure.
other one, the Corflute one, was at the Australia Post end at that sign. So that's the main sign that we have now. Yeah.
We need to pass the hat around. For both.
It's worth, we'll think about that.
Yeah.
Improve.
Trying to explain to people, no, we don't meet at the powerhouse now, we meet here,
Yeah.
and that's been scratched out. And
The only other thing that I'd probably want to bring up with the Hurstville Expo is that there was a bit of a problem with a P&C at the beginning of the fair, where the numismatic side of the P&C happened to be an error. So it sort of sent a bit of a shockwave through a lot of places. Everyone went scrambling looking for.
Yeah, they had the wrong coin in the P&C.
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
Do you want to pick
one of the P&Cs that they were selling on day one was the Rum Rebellion P&C, and it happened to have the Mutiny on the Bounty coin. So.
I think
Apparently 97 of them got out before they realised what was going on, because somebody opened their mouth and said, listen, there's a wrong coin. And they took them all off the market straight away. They sent a message to, because I went around to the post offices on that very day, and they sent an email, like Australia Post Management sent an email to all the post offices, all the proper post offices, not the local ones, and said you're not allowed to sell them. They took them. They took the barcode number off their accounting system, so they couldn't sell them, and they weren't allowed to part with them. So yeah, it was an interesting day that day.
I think a few people got them and were trying to sell them for enormous amounts on.
Well, I heard last Sunday at Petersham that the 97 that got out on the first day of the expo, because they were counter stamped as well, because with the stamp of the expo on it, those 97 that got out, they're selling on the internet now for over $200. And it was like a 17.95 PNC. The ones that came out of the post office, if you were lucky enough to get one out of the post office, they were over $100. Because of the error.
So they all had the wrong coin in.
They all had the wrong coin.
I think Joe might have told them something about that. Because he
Probably.
explained to me when I went over
Hmm.
before the show started.
What was that?
Joe from Roberts.
Oh, Joe. Yeah.
Yeah.
Joe Detting, yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah, Joe was
Joe
standing. Joe was standing opposite the post office, so he had the post office stand, so he would have seen it straight away. I dare say. Yeah, so
That might be why the queue was so slow. I mean, it's slow anyway, but
yeah,
it seemed extra slow that day. Yeah.
yeah, so yeah.
Yeah, well, Thursday one had sort of dissipated in a matter of a few minutes. They lined up, but then 10-15 minutes there was nobody there.
Right.
Mm.
So they must have been going through pretty quick, or they must have heard about these errors or something. And
Nothing
they
to sell.
weren't there, so
Sorry.
they weren't
Yeah.
All gone.
I think they had a limit of how many they were going to sell per day anyway, right? So they generally don't sort of keep selling them.
Usually
all
about
the time.
125
Yeah,
of each. Yeah.
yeah, but yeah, the reports are that 97 of them got out. So,
Did the other one have its proper coin in it?
I think they'll be doing
the
them.
mutiny on the bounty, the ones out of the post office, I got some out of the different post offices around my area, and they all had the mutiny on the bounty on them. So yeah, none of
So
them had
they didn't sort of make a crossover.
none of them had the correct coin. So, all right. Is there any other general business? Anyone wants to mention anything? Nope. All
No.
right. We'll go on to the topic of the night, which is ships on numismatics. Yes, I assume that ships means anything that sails or floats.
Maritime, even if it's
Maritime.
ship's canteen token.
Oh,
If you have an Emden canteen token, we'd be happy to see it.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So we'll move on to the topic of the night. Any of you that have got any recent acquisitions, well, you're quite welcome to show them as well. So it's not just ships on numismatics. So who wants to kick off? Okay, thanks.
Dead silence.
You know that. I was semi-prepared, but just fall apart.
I might have exceeded my quota of 10 items too, but I'm sure you'll forgive me.
I'm
If you don't get too bored. Alright, the first one that I've got, as I'm sure everyone has seen, is the, that's in pretty poor condition, is the bicentenary $10 note, which shows the HMS
Serious, is it?
Supply
Okay.
in Sydney Cove, whenever that was. There's no date on it. I thought I had one too. That there is one that has the 26th of January stamped on it in red, and I thought I had one, but if I've got it, I can't find it. The second one is a medal, rather than, well, I suppose it's still numismatic. Is the of the First Fleet reenactments, 200th anniversary, showing the Sirius, which sailed from Portsmouth on the 13th of May 1787 and arrived at Port Jackson on the 26th of January 1788. So I don't know if you'd want to be on that unless you were a fully fledged seaman. Then we have the Captain Cook bicentenary of 1770 to 1970. It's shows the bark Endeavour, but I'm a bit curious about the spelling of bark. Well, I always thought it was a B-A-R-Q-U-E,
But they always spelled it B-A-R-K. Yeah.
B-A-R-K. But who's to argue? Another one then is very, very small, be hard to see, but there's the coin, $1 2014 $1 coin of Matthew Flinders' circumnavigation of Australia in 1810, but his history wasn't published till 1814 after he returned to England. And it shows the HMS Reliance, so if you can, it's rather small to be able to see that. He also explored sections of the coast in Tom Thumb 1 and 2. And he also circumnavigated Tasmania with Bass in the HM sloop Norfolk. And we have the 1988 uncirculated coin set, which shows has the 50 cent, but it's an unnamed sailing ship just against the map of Australia. But, something I thought they might have got a name for it, but apparently not.
Pardon me.
Then we have, this is a bit of a slip-in one, this one. That's Australia that won the America's Cup in 1983. Then we have a Brazilian 5 Cruzeres note. It's on the reverse as sailing ships and canoes, but looking at the sailing ships, I don't know whether they're moored very closely together or not, or whether they've crashed onto the rocks and people are going down to save them or what. It's just, to me, it's a bit hard to figure out what they're actually doing there.
It looks like they've been dragged up on the beach,
Well,
but why would
that's
they have
okay.
the sails up still?
Yeah. And then this one is the a Burmese 1 Kyat note. It shows a type of junk known as a pinna or pinnace. Looks like it's very shallow draft and whatever, but obviously it worked.
Big spinnaker, isn't it?
Yeah. And then we have the Canadian 10 cent showing it's a famous schooner. I don't know, they don't say what it's famous for, but apparently it was a famous schooner called Blue Nose. And that same reverse has been on the Canadian 10 cents since 1858, and they've never changed it. Apparently, it's still current. And there's one on the commemorating the Battle of the Coral Sea, the 50th anniversary of the Battle of the Coral Sea, but just warships without any names or types. I'm not up on to know what they actually are. The one in the background, I think, is a aircraft carrier, but apart from that, I don't know.
I think the Canberra was sunk at the Battle of the Coral Sea, from memory.
And the on the back of the Fiji 50 cents, we have a, what they call it's a canoe with sails. It's they call it a takia. Obviously means something in Fijian. I don't know what it might be. Then we have an Italian 500 lira, but I can't find a date on it anywhere at all. And I've looked up, and for some strange reason, it just doesn't have a date. But it shows 3 caravels that were the types of ships that Columbus used. And we have, yeah, for some reason, what have I done here? Oh, yeah, okay. Then there's one of the Falkland Islands 150th anniversary, but again, I couldn't find out what type of ship it is. Looks a bit unstable to me. Doing a lot of up and downing any sort of a sea, I reckon, with that, with just the shape of it, but apparently it was managed to get across the oceans. Yeah, we have New Zealand, just two different types of there, 50 cents, showing the Endeavour. The darker one, the bigger one was earlier, then they changed to the smaller one, but just that's apparently all they've done is just simply reduce the size of the coin.
The 1984 one is a bimetallic as well.
Yeah, okay. Oh yeah, then there's another New Zealand one. That's the $1 commemorative coin for 200 years from 1769 to 1969. It shows the Endeavour again after Cook discovered New Zealand in 1769. Now, this one I thought was a little bit odd. It's a South African one, penny from 1942, and shows the Dromedaris under full sail, but again, I don't know what type of ship it is, but I didn't think South Africa would be much into ships and that, but
Looks like a British man of war.
apparently they did have them.
You can see the gunnels down the side.
Then we have a Western Samoa $1 coin, commemorating the 200th anniversary of the discovery by Jacob Rodriguez.
Yeah.
Then similarly, from Western Samoa again, is a $1 coin of the bicentenary of, not too sure whether it's the rediscovery by Cook in 1779 or he just happened to fall in there. That shows the Resolution, which is the same type but a smaller ship than the Endeavour. And that's
Yeah, the Adventure and Resolution were the two ships in one of his later voyages.
that's that.
Didn't know there were that many around, Frank.
Yeah, I was surprised myself. I've never had it.
Yeah.
Frank, did you look at it? John, just before you go, John. You got something? John, have you got something? I've only got one thing. And that's a British copy of the Lusitania medal. Some German thought it was a good idea to mint a couple of copies as a propaganda exercise, and the British realised it would work better for them. He only produced a couple of copies apparently. The British produced 300,000 and made money selling them, and also got themselves a lot of sympathy from America. On that side, it's Lusitania sinking. I forget what it says in German, so I can't read it. On the other side is Death is selling tickets to the passengers, and the guy holding a piece of paper apparently is supposed to represent with a top hat. The guy with the top hat is supposed to represent the to the Germans, that he represented the German ambassador, saying to people, look, this is a dangerous journey, don't do it. And they said, and there was somewhere on it that says that capitalism above everything. So the British happily sold the tickets and the passengers got drowned.
John, and how do you tell the difference between the German and the English version?
Oh, I forget now. I did know, but the original German version had the wrong date on it to begin with, or the date of sinking. It had a date before the ship actually sunk, if I remember correctly. And so this was, to the British, this meant that they were planning it. But there was something else. I forget what it was.
The spelling of the word May on the original German.
I would have been M-A-I.
M-A-I. On the English version, I believe it says M-A-Y.
Right.
As we can see there.
And that looks like why, yeah.
Later on, when the Germans realised this wasn't such a good idea, they banned the sale of them in Germany.
Well, that was the ship that got the Americans into the First World War.
Not quite, but they took another 2 years, but that's right, yeah, they got a lot of... It was carrying ammunition. So what... So,
Allegedly.
sorry? Well, it depends. On the German side, it was a big amount. On the British side, it was just a little bit. Half a dozen bullets, and that was it. So it depends which side you're looking at it from. But it certainly had a big impact. It was certainly, you know, the British couldn't have produced 300,000 medals if they hadn't thought it was worth the effort.
Well, I certainly believed in the propaganda.
Oh, they did. The propaganda in the First World War was really, really something else when you read about it. But anyway, that's the case in every war too.
If we can remember the use of medals for propaganda, this may be of interest on the Louis XIV.
Thanks, John. Ian.
No, wait, John will call you.
So I've got 3 offerings, all modern. First one is Cayman Islands. The good ship Yacht Britannia. 60th anniversary of the ascension of Queen Elizabeth II, 2012. And just the Britannia with flags of the world. Next is a Cook, New Zealand, Cook Islands, 1970, $1 proof. That's just copper nickel. And finally, a Russian coin. This is Cook's final expedition, his 3rd and final one, where he's trying to find the what is it, the Northwest Passage through Alaska. This is celebrating actually the 250th anniversary of the foundation of Russian America and Cook's expedition to that area. Just a little bit of history on the Russian America. It's their colonial possessions of the Americas from 1733 to 1867, and they actually had settlements spanning parts of what are now the United States, California, and they actually had 2 ports in Hawaii as well. And their last possession was Alaska, which they sold to the US for $7.2 million. And it was all based on trade. So they had the Great Northern Expedition. Peter the Great sent off ships to find new land, and it was actually discovered by Vitus Bering. Now it's called Bering Strait. That's a nice little one.
Thanks, Ian. David, have you got anything to say?
Oh, this one.
This one?
You got them stand up to tonight,
Let's see.
or
Not that easy to find ships on medieval coins, but there's one classic example.
The trireme. The old trireme. Yeah.
Yeah, that's more Roman, isn't it? This is, everyone's seen a noble before.
Ah.
This came out of Jim's auction late last year, out of the Rado collection, and it's Henry the VI of England. Quite a large gold coin, as you'll see, the king and the ship. And it's completely disproportionate. The ship's far too small for the king, or vice versa. Quite a detailed one, so you just need maybe get up closer and focus on it. The king's holding his shield. You see the ship now? Yeah, not too many sails on it, but rigging, and sort of few flapping sails round his head, and the waves down the bottom, and looks a little bit like that ship on the Falkland Island coin you had there.
Yeah.
Maybe the same, but here, this is early 15th century, so ship design wasn't all that great. They hadn't really worked out how to balance ships at that stage, so many ships that they made, they as soon as somebody got in them and put them on the water, they went and turned upside down.
Mary Rose, yeah.
Mary Rose being a classic one, and that was
Yeah.
Henry VIII, which was 100 years after this, so it took them a while to learn that. The ballast was required, and the centre of gravity rule, but nevertheless, look, let's flip it over so you can see the other side. The other side is not about ships, it's just about filling space. Just get the H vertical, that's the sort of way to see it. Sorry, I'm going the wrong way now. I can't, worse than a mirror. Just centre that. That's it, that's it. See the H for Henry in the middle of the cross there?
Oh, right.
Yeah, Henry VI had a very long reign too, comparable to Louis XIV, I think, because he came to the throne when he was 9 months old, and this was one of his first issues, so he was a baby. And the regent, which was Henry, his father's brother, his uncle, Duke of Bedford, John Duke of Bedford, it would have been minted under his auspices. Nice, they're pretty coins, but I'll put it in the plastic just in case you want to pick it up and have a closer look. Lovely. I mean, it's pretty hard to damage gold with you know, this is a beautiful,
Pretty inert, yes.
beautiful metal, and does tend to stay good for a long time.
Thanks, David. What do you got, Les?
I'm a bit old-fashioned, I know, but one ship has been leading me on the path of numismatics for a long time, and it's the ship, the Charlotte. And
We have a replica over there.
I'll show you one here in a moment, and it has a significant interest to me because I used it to put on my the dust cover of my book, and I've included it. That's the image of obverse and reverse rod of the Charlotte. And background of the medal, it showed up some years ago in England and at Greenwich in the collection there, but it seemed to get into private hands somehow or other, and it ended up in America. And our good friend Jim Noble became aware of it, and this was in the 1970s, 60s, 70s, and he was able to do a deal and get it out here to Australia to be bought in due course, and it came home. But the Charlotte medal, the production of it is quite an extreme interest as far as workmanship is concerned. Mr. Barrett, we believe, who engraved this medal, came out as a
It's okay now, John.
as a assistant, I won't say an assistant, but a boy or man servant for the surgeon at the time, and he in turn got this fellow. He was convicted of forgery, and he was able to do all this, and he got him to make this medal on the ship coming out, or while in harbour here, we're not quite sure, but it portrays all the longitudes and latitudes all the way of the ship's course out, and that medal was produced, and got into the hands of one wonderful gentleman named John Chapman, who was a doctor of dentistry, and he was able to buy it for only about $15,000 at the time, and he ended up selling it, and it brought $830,000. It is now held here in Sydney at the Maritime Museum on display there. But in the process of all this, I used to visit John every year from 15 to 20 years in Melbourne, and I got to know John remarkably well. And in 1988, there was an exhibition put on here at the Powerhouse Museum, and he loaned it to them for display. And I was in Melbourne at the time, and I had the honour of being able to bring it back to Sydney. He didn't, and we ended up having on display, and it achieved quite an interesting result. But in that time, I came home from Melbourne, and sitting at my table was my local dentist, who was very adept at silversmithing. And I showed him that medal, and some years later, being on the 80th birthday of my wife, he turned up with a medal, the replica of that, as a birthday present. And he put it in a little case, and that's the, I will show it to you there, that's the exact size and weight and everything of the original medal. And it's got not the same words and things on it that's on the original medal, but it's pertaining to our family. And he did that. I had showed this before at an exhibition up at Coffs Harbour, and anyway, Robert has done quite a lot of little bits of silversmith and repair work for me over the years, but that is a little masterpiece that he has done. But there are other medals.
The original all engraved, hand engraved.
All hand engraved. Yeah. Oh yes, you
What would he have used to actually?
dental.
The dental drills.
No, the very original one.
I'll do. That is the mystery.
Oh.
That is the mystery. How, where, and what he got. On the way out, by way of interest, he was convicted for having forged coins in Rio, I think it was. They were in Rio, and he started making coins there and flogging it and whatever. And he lost his life through rather. He was the first man hung here in Sydney, and a little plaque down off George Street, just back from the quay, and it records Mr. Barrett, first man hung here in Sydney, and he was had the ability to do that engraving. But the other two little pieces I have here are the replicas that Kodak had made during the put glasses on, I'd do a lot better, I know. During about 1992, Kodak wanted to get into the scene and get a little bit of promotion, and they reproduced the medal, but there's a few errors in the dating and that. Just a little bar has got 1804 40-something instead of 1884.
Oh.
Just a little detail. But anyhow, that medal and the whole story about all the little bits and pieces have been a bit of my lifetime in numismatics. And I'm very proud to sort of see workmanship of extraneous people in different fields to what they are. And Robert is a master. He's got a little workshop at home out in Paddington, and he makes all his 2 daughters and wife their jewellery and everything. He's quite remarkable. Anyhow, I'll leave that there for. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Andy. George. Let's go, George.
I won't bother showing you the 2 Kodak medals that Les just put down.
Maybe we see a third one on the auction too.
But the silver one is rather scarce, believe it or not. SS Great Britain, which is in Bristol now. I've been on it when it came back from Falkland Islands. Would have been about it came back in 70, I was there in 76 or 77. This is a 23 carat gold plated Titanic plate from Southampton to New York with a story behind it. A beautiful medal here of Bass and Flinders and HM sloop the Norfolk. Well, very well struck. Bit of an unusual, nice medal there, depicting ships on both sides.
First Fleet. Sirius.
This is a Canadian $5 Olympic coin with the sails on it, sailing ships. And the last one is a Canadian medal, the 4th annual bathtub race. It's good for $1. There's a couple of blokes in the bathtub.
Like the hats. Thank you, George.
Pat, have you got anything?
Oh.
What about you, Lindy? Did you bring your
Sorry.
words? No?
I found out too late that that's.
Okay, right.
I'm prepared to make some comments though.
You're going to make the copy out.
Comments.
Oh, comment. I thought you said you're going to make the copies.
I don't have a lot, but one I did have, being bimetallic of course, is the $5 that Australia put out for the Battle of the Sunda Straits. And the Battle of the Sunda Strait took place in World War II. It was when the Japanese were invading Java, and after the Battle of the Coral Sea, the Japanese were more or less in control because they still had the aircraft carriers. Midway hadn't taken place, and the Japanese were still nautically superior. Coral Sea, it was more or less even Steven because both sides lost ships. But the Japanese had taken Malaya and they were coming down into Indonesia. They were heading into, the invasion fleet was heading into Java. The Sunda Strait is between the northern island of Sumatra and the southern island of Java. And the Australian, American and Dutch ships were up in northern Australia. The Japanese had attacked Darwin already. They'd been down there and they were coming down. And the Houston, American ship, USS Houston, and the Australian cruiser Perth went up and attacked the fleet with half a dozen Dutch destroyers as well. They were attacking the Japanese Navy until they ran out of ammunition and they were both sunk. So this Australian bimetallic $5 was put out to commemorate the Battle of the Sunda Strait, the loss. The bell on it is the bell from the Houston. So the only difference between the two is the slipcase. One says HMAS Perth for the Australian market, and the other says USS Houston for the American market. The inside is the same. It's a picture of the Perth. I don't know if you remember seeing that movie, The Bridge on the River Kwai. Yep. Was a great movie. Well, William Holden was sort of the hero on it. He was the one in the prison who was selling rats and all other things and escaped to Ceylon. But the person represented by William Holden would have been an American sailor from the Houston, because they were all rounded up and taken to Malaya. So most of the rest of the Americans that were captured were in the Philippines around that area. The ones that were captured further south were more naval ratings. What other ones do I have? There's the dollar was put out for the Royal Australian Navy, so that was put out in 2001. So it's another naval type dollar. There's the Battle of the Sunda Strait that I've just showed you. There was also a $5 coin put out, a nice silver coin. I don't know why I bought it. It's silver, not bimetallic.
You have those lapses, right?
Yeah, I probably got it cheap somewhere. So, again, it shows the two ships, the Houston and the Perth. And the last one I have is try and zoom in. So it's the 1913, so it's the visit of the American fleet, I think, isn't it? 1913 was the American fleet? Yeah. Or the British?
That sounds right.
The White Fleet.
The big.
1908.
Yeah.
It's our what? 13 on that, that's nothing really.
Yes,
Yeah, October 4, 1913. Oh, the Commonwealth fleet, not American. To commemorate the visit of the Commonwealth fleet to Sydney.
Commonwealth fleet, yeah. That's
Yeah.
08.
08 was American, right. Again, I don't know where I picked this medal up from, but it must have been in a lot that I bought and sort of took my fancy, so it went in a 2x2 and I managed to find it when I was looking for somebody to show tonight. Thank you, that's all I have.
Is there anyone that I missed? No? Okay. Well, I'll finish up the night with our topic of ships on numismatics. We've got a very nice Fijian shilling here. It's probably similar to what Frank already showed, but it's a nice King George the Fifth, 1934 on shilling. So and it's got the typical little outrigger type canoe that the Fijians are known for.
Looks like the same thing, huh?
Yeah. But it has got an outrigger on it, so it's some sort of canoe thing. So
That it?
that's it. I did bring a Canadian 10-cent coin.
It went overshadowed.
Yeah.
First in, best rest.
It really deflates you when the first person comes along and shows you everything that you've got.
That happens.
I was surprised no one else showed the spy metallic.
Yeah. All right then. Well, listen. Thank you all for.
Thank you. Thank you, John. Nobody give you a clap.
Yes.
All right then.
Oh, John, could I just, one quick question?
Yes.
I've got a friend that's got a heap of those coloured $2 commemorative coins if anyone's interested in acquiring some of them.
Which one? Which
Oh,
colours?
Welcome Home and Armistice and, the ones that have been coming out the last couple of years.
Great.
Yeah. Did you get the 2012 red poppy?
Oh, I don't know, she just said she's got a whole heap of them, but
Bring him in.
Bring it in.
Yeah.
Let's see what we can do. Look, some of them are quite collectible.
yeah. I
Um,
don't know what condition, where they are,
yeah.
just...
The purple one is the hard one, the very first one, the 2013 purple
The
one.
2013.
I think I bought one set of them and the paint just disappeared in no time at all. It just sitting in the drawer. It just seemed to-
Coca-Cola.
But
He
but
should have
just
soaked it in Coca-Cola.
just in the past couple of months, the original red poppy from 2012 is becoming very expensive. So,
Yeah, I got
but
a clue
the
what
thing
she
was,
actually got.
the red
They were in the
poppy-
pack.
The red poppy, you had to buy it either in a card or something. A lot of people tend to have them through the RSL.
Yeah.
Remember they were on the card?
Oh, yes.
Because the circulating 2012, they weren't coloured.
Yeah.
So that's why they become hard to get. And it's been very, people are asking for them all the time now. The 2013, the purple one for Queen Elizabeth's Diamond Jubilee.
Yeah.
You never see them show up in change anymore. So,
We had them encased. A&S encased. Yeah.
well,
Yeah, we had
they-
32 of them encased because I only had 32 of those coins. Yeah.
So yeah.
And the members who bought those are sitting very nicely. Thank you.
Yeah. Tell
Yeah,
them
well,
to bring them in. Oh,
If you still got them, I'll bring them in next month.
yeah, okay. Righto. Is there anything else that we want to say? No. All right, well, thank you all for coming. We'll close the meeting. We'll have our refreshments, but don't forget our auction. You know the drill. Any of the lots that you want to bid on, we're not going to bid on. We're not going to go through the whole lot. Only the ones that you want to bid on.
Just tell me the ones you're
Let us
interested in,
know.
and we'll
We'll
bid
just
on those.
auction those particular lots. All right.
And
Thank you.
as you can see, some of the prices are pretty good. Might have been a slow auction to start, but boy, did it finish with a bang.